Hi, I'm Gavin, and welcome back to the Sound Project. Man, I'm so excited today to be able to sit down with my good friend, Mark Salamone with Sweetwater Integration. How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Gavin.
Good. We've been talking about having you on the podcast for like a year.
Yeah,
and
at least
so
a year. Yeah.
I'm excited that you're here. And we're actually here on site at Heroes Camp in Mishawaka, Indiana, which is a project we did together.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that in a little bit. But tell the audience a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, first of all, thank you for setting this up, Gavin.
Yeah, no problem.
It's great to be here. My background, I've been a musician all my life since I'm a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Berklee School of Music, did jazz performance, on the bass, little stand-up, little Fender.
Yeah.
And then ended up growing my hair long and getting into a rock band and touring and doing all this, original music and all that. And then I got into the art of recording with a Tascam 4-track. And, my band would come in my bedroom and start recording on a little Yamaha mixer. And I just fell in love with it, fell in love with the art of recording and, did like the egg cartons on the wall.
Yep.
To try to get it to sound good.
Sure.
Not knowing anything about acoustics or anything like that. And then from there, just got into a little bit more professional recording studios, like assisting and interning at different studios in Manhattan. And then eventually got into sitting in the chair behind an SSL and doing some really nice work. And I did a lot of Def Jam work.
Yeah, I see some of these things I have to act like I don't know it.
Yeah,
because this is a podcast, but we've been friends for a while. But that's really cool that you work with Def Jam.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm a rocker, so I didn't really know hip hop at the time. But working with those guys, the artistry was amazing. The lyrics, it was a lot of fun working with them. And then meeting Russell Simmons and Eric Sermon, working with Eric and all these guys. And then what happened after that, I just started thinking about, wow, it'd be great to open up my own studio. And then a good friend of mine got into some money and is into the arts as well. And then we ended up building our own recording studio called the Barbershop Studios in New Jersey, which is about 45 minutes out of town, out of New York. And a beautiful SSL room. And we were talking before, Gavin, and it was designed by Fran Manzella, God rest his soul.
Absolutely.
He was a good friend of mine.
Yep.
And but I learned a lot about acoustics. When you're sitting in one of the studios in Manhattan, like Right Track or Sound on Sound, or Walter Sear, or the Hit Factory, or Sony, or Avatar, any of these studios, I never really knew what was behind the walls of the recording studio.
Yep.
I just know that it sounded real good and that it translated. Like when I did a mix or something, I go in my car, I'm like, wow, it sounds really good.
Yeah.
And then you go into a studio that didn't have acoustics, and then I played it in my car and it sounded terrible.
Yeah.
Like that's not my mix. Like
Right.
what's going on? So with the barbershop, I learned when we went into construction and working with Fran, I learned about acoustics and what's behind the walls. So that was a great education for me, as well as the integration. So I work with John Klett and Jack. So there was a bunch of people that I worked with on the integration that I was in charge of, like picking out the gear, making sure everything was tested. We bought vintage mics. We had a $500,000 mic closet, which was amazing. So it was a real learning time for me. And it was about 1.5 to 2 years of building this 3-story, beautiful recording studio. And I learned about integration. I learned about soldering, one-stroke solder. I learned about how important the wire is. There's a lot of things that I learned about building recording studios. And then from there, I got a job at All Pro Integrated Systems, which was owned by Chuck Sorek at Sweetwater.
That's right.
And I started selling. And I was kind of new to selling, but it felt right. It was, just being myself.
Yeah.
And so I got into that, and then doing football fields and churches and casinos and hotels and all this AV work. And then I kind of fell into, later on, about 10 years later, about 2.5, 3 years ago, we started getting more and more into integration of recording studios. And through that, Gavin, you and I did a lot of work at churches together.
Exactly. Well, and you were the first person that I spoke to at All Pro about jobs. Like, I remember you calling me and you said, hey, I've got a bunch of things that we'd like to work with you on. Yeah, I mean, I think right out of the gate, we worked on like 5 or 6 churches.
5 or 6 churches together doing, and you did such a great job on those churches. You're really easy to work with, and it's amazing how, like, the quick response that All Pro was able to get with you.
Sure.
You know, in accomplishing what the church needed for acoustics, and then budget is always a concern.
Yeah.
And it was very easy to work with you on different types of budgets and things like that. So we really appreciated that relationship with you.
Yeah.
And then after that, the recording studio division started, and it was like, wow, Gavin also does recording studios, and that's kind of like his major wheelhouse, right? I was doing a lot of churches together, a lot of different things, and then we started doing different things, and here we are at Heroes Camp, and you did such a beautiful job on the acoustics here. I love the design. I love the cross in the ceiling. There's so many things that are so nice in this room.
Yeah, and you bring up the point about learning what's going on behind the walls, and there's just so much that goes into that. You know, isolating a room and making it sound good. But one thing that I stress to our clients all the time is that if you don't have an integrator or someone that's going to pull off all the wiring and cabling and the gear selection and integration of that, I mean, the room is important, of course, but that's equally important, just making sure all those things are correct. And so I love working with you on those things. And because I know when I get an email from you about bringing us into a project, or I send something your way, I know the client's going to get taken care of on all facets.
Yeah, which is what we do best. Is take care of the client.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very important.
And this one was a special one because it actually was the first one. You brought us in on this job, and it was the first one that we had done under our ECHO initiative, which is a thing that we started. It stands for Engaging Community Through Humanitarian Outreach. And it's just any organization that, like, we just really believe in what they're doing. Like, we work on that project with reduced rates. Like, we discount our services just to help them out because we just believe in what they do so much.
I remember you coming up with that and saying, Mark, we have this initiative, and I was like, wow, this is perfect. You know, this is a blessing, really, which is, you know, this place is seated in Christianity. So I really love that you did that. And we did our best as well, Sweetwater, to accomplish some of those things as well. And we'll continue to do so. But just to continue the story, so All Pro Integrated Systems then merged or became Sweetwater Integration. And the big PR went out, and it's such a pleasure now to be called Sweetwater Integration. And it was sort of like this project was half All Pro, and now, so this is the beginning of something really great for Sweetwater. Sweetwater Integration. And Gavin, I know that you've been a professor, so to speak, or teaching at Sweetwater. You teach courses on acoustics and things like that.
So. I'd go up there 4 times a year for doing like a 3-hour training course on acoustics for all their sales engineers. And I figured out that I think it's next year or maybe the year after, it will be like my 100th visit to do just teaching.
Really? 100?
Yeah, 100.
So you're probably getting pretty good at it then, right?
Like you're starting to warm up. I can sleep while doing it, which is the real benefit. No, it's really fun to do that and just get people kind of well versed in talking about acoustics with their clients and everything. But I've been working with Sweetwater since 2001, and it's always a pleasure to do work with you guys.
You know, working with acousticians, I find the value to be very important working with you and just acousticians in general, because, you know, I've learned over the years that a room has to sound good. So we can do AV in a rectangle, and it's never going to sound right. And it's never going to translate. So having the proper acoustics and wall shaping and all of it is very important. So when I when Sweetwater Integration gets a project, the first thing we think of is, well, we need an acoustic partner,
Right.
to work with in order for the room to sound good, so our equipment sounds good. And then it's just a matter of choosing the right equipment, whether they want to work in the box or they want to work on a big SSL or Neve or something, API, something like that. But this studio in particular, we didn't want like the big giant console.
Right.
We wanted something that's like a modern approach. And then the stereo versus Atmos conversation came up.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you about it. Like, the last thing I want to do in a place like this is try to sort of sell them on Atmos,
Right.
rather than like understand if it's really right for the kids. And the more I talked to Patrick and the organization here at Heroes Camp, the more I realized that we need to set these kids up for the future.
Yeah.
Right? So you got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got all these networks coming up with Dolby Atmos recording. And then, these engineers that are doing Dolby Atmos mixes are making good money.
Yeah, for sure.
And iTunes actually pays more for a Dolby Atmos mix.
Yeah.
And I remember coming out of Miami one time. I was in Miami, I don't know, doing some kind of sales call or something. And I'm traveling over this bridge, and I see this giant size sign off the side of the highway. But it's not like a normal, what's the word I'm looking for, Gavin?
Billboard.
A billboard.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
So it's not like a normal billboard. This thing was the size, it had to be 20 times or more the size of a billboard. And all it was Apple Music, and it had someone listening to their earpods, professional earpods, which is now in surround.
Right.
And all it said was surround sound through iTunes. And I was driving, I'm like, this is becoming real.
Yeah.
And I have 2 daughters, and both of them, they love to listen to music in surround.
Yeah,
so when they listen to Harry Styles or even Elton John or anything, and it's recorded in Dolby Atmos, they love the experience.
For sure.
And the kids are on their iPods, right? But they still get that sort of surround imaging. And my daughter happens to be a singer, the other one's a bass player. So they're in the music biz, but even their friends are listening to surround. So I thought it was appropriate to talk to Heroes Camp about putting an Atmos system, and then talking to you about it. And then you obviously designed this beautiful room for Dolby Atmos.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, and something to say about this place is that it's kind of a safe haven for kids to come to after school. And it's just got an amazing facility here. They have basketball courts, a barber shop, a kitchen for them to teach the kids
gymnasium,
all sorts of things. And they had a room in here before that just had like a countertop with some synths on it, and just and I remember coming here for the first time, and it was, I mean, if I was a kid, I would have thought that was super cool to have this room to do this. And then I walk into what we've done here together, and it's I'm just so excited for the opportunities that these kids are going to have. And I agree with you when it comes to the Atmos. It's like if there's the means to do that in here and to get them exposed to that early, it's just going to open up more doors for them. So.
Yeah, and let's talk about gaming too.
Oh yeah,
like gaming is becoming a really big thing
for sure.
And the production behind gaming is really, I mean, this is just the beginning of it.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of gaming, and these gamers are wearing headphones that are or have surround systems around them. These stadiums that are created.
Yes.
So these kids here can learn how to mix in Dolby Atmos, not only for music applications, but for gaming and TV and commercials and all of it as well. So I think we made the right decision in sort of guiding them into a Dolby Atmos situation. And financially, it's not that much more.
Sure.
You just have to have the right design, acoustic design behind it.
Yeah.
And, obviously the speakers in the ceiling. So these beautiful focal speakers are in here. And so I had our designers, the way that Sweetwater Integration works is that we have a team of designers, right? And I don't really do the designers. What I do is customer relations, right? And
Yep.
talking to the acoustician to make sure the room is being built properly.
Right.
And then we went into what the design is going to be, and then the equipment choices. So like an a S.O.U.N. Avid console,
Right.
great for surround,
Mm-hmm.
for Avid mixing. A lot of the stuff is in the box. We have some beautiful Apple monitors, which is crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the 3 up front, the LR, right?
Yeah.
So we have the LR and the C in the middle. It really,
the
really
Focal
came out
system
great.
works great in here, and
Yeah.
we've done a ton of studios with Focal, and always sounds great, and once you get to this level of speaker, it's just a joy to listen to them.
Yeah.
And these kids are having a lot of fun in here, so
Yeah.
it's great.
Yeah, they're learning, and from what I understand, they're building a record label here now too.
Yeah, yeah.
And already monetizing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was
That's
talking
really
to
cool.
them about it, and these kids get a chance to create music
Mm-hmm.
and make money.
Yeah,
I mean, so
cool learning experience. So.
so that's actually right. When you make money, you're now a professional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Before that, you're an amateur.
Yes.
The moment you make money,
Yeah,
you're a
professional.
pro.
Yep.
Right. So these kids are actually starting to create music. And I saw one of the songs that they did here at Heroes Camp had 3 million hits,
Oh, wow.
3 million listens to their song.
That's amazing.
That's like $176 they
Yeah,
made. Not
yeah.
bad.
Yeah, that's great.
For a great start for
Yeah.
making music.
Oh, that's
So,
amazing. Yeah, I think a lot of opportunities that will open up with this place, and that's why I like a lot of the jobs that we do together. Is just like for us, it's always more about the story and what people are doing rather than. I mean, the room is really cool. I'm not gonna lie about that, but it's more about like what they're trying to accomplish here, and that goes for like all the projects we work together. I care more
Right.
about the people involved. And I know you
Of
do too. I
course.
can just tell that.
Yeah, it's not about the room. It's
Yeah.
about what they're trying to accomplish, the functionality,
Yeah.
where the end goal is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keeping that in mind. Yeah.
So your current role at Sweetwater Integration, what's your title again?
It's Executive Director of Sales and Partnerships. So
Okay.
really I concentrate on the relationship building
Yeah.
for people like you and, whether it be manufacturers or architects and builders. So my role is to sort of bridge the gap between professionals out there and then what Sweetwater Integration does on the integration side. So, we have to work with architects. This studio was built by a contractor, but we have a lot of partners like Studios by Sonic and who you've worked with. You've worked with Kevin Carroll at Studios by Sonic. So we have different partners. So I'm sort of building those relationships. This way we can partner with folks to serve our clients better, right? We do the integration. We do the equipment sales, the design of it, and then the sale of the equipment, right?
Yeah.
So what we need behind that is the architects, the builders. So we're trying to form like a holistic approach, and that's my position at Sweetwater is to build those relationships and then serve our customers the best way we can.
That's such an important role because, like, I tell people all the time that it takes a village to make something like this happen. Like
It
it's
does.
like we can, and we always try to stay in our lane as far as like what we're really good at. Like I'm a big proponent of just letting people do what they're great at, and stay out of the way on things that we don't know as much about. So like when we're working with you, we'll handle all the acoustic side of things, and then we know that you've got the gear covered and the integration and all of that, and everybody can rest easy. So
And look, in the beginning, especially on this project, but many projects that we do together, the conduit is very important.
Yeah.
So getting in early together
yeah,
is the most important thing for Sweetwater Integration and for Gavin Haverstick and for your firm is getting in early. This way we can design the room together.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know that Dolby Atmos was what the choice was, then you wouldn't design the room right from the beginning.
exactly.
So it's very important to get in early together
Yeah.
to start building that and having those conversations with the client. And I think we did a pretty good job
I did too.
on this one.
Yeah, it's always a collaborative effort. It's like it's not just us. It's you said contractor, architect, but then the client is like the center of that. It's always like checking back with Patrick and his team and just making sure that like we're serving them well. And so that's
Also budget.
yeah,
Like from the very beginning, like you and I have to talk about the budget.
yeah,
And a lot of times the client doesn't really know the budget. They're like, I don't know how much it costs to build a recording studio. So we guide them through that process of how much they could be spending.
Yeah.
And then we throw out some numbers, we figure, and then they say, no, that's too high. Oh, that sounds appropriate to me. And then we go through the gear list, and then they say, well, could we add this or can we do this? Instead of that console, can we do this console? So it's important that you and I communicate, or our firms together communicate with those things to nail the budget.
Yeah.
And in this particular one, of course, we could have had PMC or ATC speakers, but we could have had an S4 console, but we have to figure out how to serve our customer for the correct budget. And we do that together because the conduit and the power, the construction costs, and then you have to figure out, like, you could have spent $1 million and then I could have had, $10 to spend on equipment.
Yeah, it's a balance.
But it's a balance that we have to strike.
Yeah.
The two of us together have to partner in on zeroing in on how do we serve and get the budget right for the client, for the customer.
Yeah, super important.
Very important.
And I just always love working with you on things and looking forward to more things in the future. And all the things that the churches and studios we're working on currently and in the past, like, they've all went really smoothly. So
yeah, they do.
Anytime I look at my phone and I'm like, Mark Salamone, I get excited about what could possibly come down the line. So,
yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure. It's very easy.
Yeah, good.
It's an easy relationship.
Yeah.
It's an easy partnership that we have. We have the same focus.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is the customer.
Yeah, exactly. And so,
starts there.
Really value that. And I also appreciate you sitting down on the podcast with us. This is a year in the making. So we're excited about that. But
I was surprised I didn't have hair and makeup. Though, but
well,
you promised hair and makeup. And where were the green M&Ms?
Well,
I didn't get them either.
We mentioned budget. We mentioned budget. And so there's a budget for this too.
Oh, there's a budget for this too.
The green M&Ms just got cut at the last second.
Yeah,
so
I think
sorry.
you could have added them, but that's fine.
Maybe next time.
Next time.
All right. Thanks again, Mark. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
So that's been another episode of The S.O.U.N D Project. Thanks for being a part of it, and we'll see you next week.